My name is Rosie Goldsmith and welcome to my Riveting interview series, conversations with authors from all over the world. My nickname is Rosie the Riveter, and one of my great passions is introducing readers to riveting writers. You may already know The Riveter, our magazine of international writing, as well as our online riveting reviews and riveting reads. They're all dedicated to giving foreign writers in English translation the prominence they deserve, which is exactly what I want to do with this series of riveting audio and video interviews. They're all free via our website, eurolitnetwork.com. Welcome to today's riveting author. Today, I'd like you to meet Max Lobe in Geneva, who's one of the most prolific, popular, fearless and exciting writers in Switzerland today. He's published 4 novels and several short stories, and he writes in French and has a lot to say about everything. So we haven't got much time to cover the whole of your life and everything you need to say, Max. So it's fantastic to see you, to meet you. And where do we start? Well, let's start with how you arrived in Switzerland. You were 18 years old, you came from Cameroon, and you came to study journalism.
What can I tell you about my family? I come from Cameroon, as you have just said. I have 7 siblings. I'm the 5th one, and my mom had me when she was 22. It's a long story, and we have some little parts of my main story in the book a long way from Douala. So I was born there. I grew up in that city called Douala, actually, which is like a little bit more than 2 million inhabitants. And one day I had I was proposed to come to Switzerland to pursue my studies. I started in Cameroon doing economy after my high school degree, and then I came here in Switzerland for journalism and politics. So this is a little bit my life, my path of life up to now. And yeah, I've been living now in Switzerland for 16 years, and I think I still have a lot to do here.
Well, you certainly made your name in a very short time, really, because you've published so much, and absolutely, and people love you, and you're a very public figure as well. And you know, in Switzerland, in a country which is actually very diverse, has lots of different languages, lots of different ethnicities, there are still not many Black people living in Switzerland. So I imagine you stand out even more. How do you feel about that? How do you cope with being Black in Switzerland?
Yeah, for Switzerland, maybe it's an important question, but for me, it's not an important question. And I repeat it, for me, it's not. I don't want it to be an important question, because I always think that if I start thinking about being Black, being gay, being this and that, I will never go forward. I will never do anything. I will be always, I will be there trying to see what people did bad to me. So me, I just think that as a foreigner, or as a Swiss guy also, but I know what are my words exactly. So I prefer just to make one step forward, hoping that the person in front of me, that person might be a Swiss person, I don't know, or that person can be another foreigner. I just want to take every single person the way he or she is. So having said that, I can't deny that being Black in Switzerland is something a little bit special. Being a Black Swiss.
Well, you're very, very special because you write about some amazing topics as well, and you bring into Swiss literature some great insight and wonderful visual descriptions, language descriptions of Africa and your first 18 years living in Cameroon. So how would you describe that? Would you describe what you're doing as a kind of marriage of African writing sensibilities and Swiss or Western? How would you describe it?
I think that it depends on it depends on times. Some mornings I feel so Cameroonian, so Bantu, and in some other situations I feel so Swiss or Genevan. Now the question that might come afterward is like, what is a Bantu? What is a Swiss guy? I think a Bantu guy is maybe it's a part of what I am this morning, like trying all the time to laugh, to keep the good mood, and to be relaxed, and hoping that everything is going to be okay. And the Swiss version of Max is the one who might complain because things are not going well, they need to be perfect, like a Swiss watch. And particularly as a Genevan, I will always complain about the action of the politicians, and I will always, it's just people that will tell you that, because yourself, you don't notice. And when I talk, for example, with my mom, and sometimes she says, "Oh, you're becoming so white. Oh, my son, you're becoming so white. You're becoming so Genevan." It's there. Therefore, I understand that I'm changing. But really, for me, there is no dichotomy. It's one body going through all these feelings.
This also applies, all your different sides of your personality also apply to all the different languages you speak. I mean, in that sense, you're very Swiss because you speak all the Swiss languages. In addition, you speak Spanish, and what you describe as your cam franglais. It's quite an achievement to speak so many languages.
Yeah, but I feel very lucky. I feel very lucky for that, because I came in a country where plurilingualism is something very important. Recently, I was giving an interview with an Italian association, Intula. The name of the association is Intula, and they were asking me if I could give just 3 words to characterize Switzerland, and I just said the first thing is compromise, trying to find the third way, and then because of that, we need compromise because there is heterogeneity. Is everybody coming from everywhere, most of all here in Geneva, and plurilingualism. So if people are coming from everywhere and they speak various languages, then the need to come together and to find the third way. If not, they are not going to make it. And to come back to just the news and to this very special year we're going through with the pandemic of the COVID-19, here in Switzerland, the way that they manage it was very special. And I think, I'm very glad of living in this country. And for the languages, I have my friends coming from all around the world, which speak a lot English together, but also French, also Italian, also maybe a little bit of German, Swiss German, and I have my Bassa language, I have my Bassa, my Canfranglais, and my Swiss friends now, they speak also the Canfranglais. So I cannot hide them anything. Some of them even understand some few words of Bassa.
You've published 4 novels, and we're about to have your 4th novel translated, the first translated into English, which is just fantastic. A Long Way from Douala. It's been translated by Ros Schwartz and published by Hope Road Publishing, and it was published in French by Édition Zoé. So you wrote this in French with lots of sprinklings of fantastic African dialects and, beautiful visual descriptions. Now, this is a novel set partly in Cameroon, partly in Africa, unlike your other novels, which you've set in Switzerland and are more about the immigrant or African experience in Switzerland. Now, this novel, you actually went to Cameroon, you followed the journey of these boys. It's about a young boy called Jean Choupé, and it's about wanting to travel to Europe to play football.
This novel is really, you should see what we're talking about. I got it now, and I feel like loads of happiness since I received it. This book is very important for me. As you said, it's the 4th one that I wrote in English, in French, excuse me.
You probably could write it in English, but you wrote it in French.
It's the 4th one in French, but it's the 1st one in English. And it's very important because there I start really with fiction, not auto fiction, not not really taking lots of elements from my life, from my own experience, but trying to
Memories.
come back in my mind, you know, and to talk about my the childhood, the teenager, the city where I grew up. In the first books, I talked a lot about Africa and Europe, Switzerland, and I mean Cameroon and Switzerland. So there, I wanted to really to go back just in Cameroon and to think about fiction, really fiction. What I mean by fiction is really when my personality, my life is not going to take over the place of the protagonist. I've been writing now and publishing for 10 years, so I'm getting like white hair, you know, on my back. So today I think that Loin du Douala is a book of passions. I'm thinking about fanaticism, religions, and religions here in this book. We can talk about Christianity, Muslim, football. I can even say football at first is a religion, football is fanaticism, and you people in UK, you know, with the hooligans. In Cameroon, it's really something amazing. But let's not just see the negative aspect of the passion, which is fanaticism. We can see also the positive aspect, which is something that will make you still because you believe in that, and it's something that leads you forwards.
The amazing thing about this novel is how much you get into it and how much politics there are in the background. But you sort of almost forget about it because the story is so interesting. The characters, as you're describing, Roger and Jean and the mother and Simon, they're such wonderful characters, but they're in the background. You've got Boko Haram, you've got Christianity, Islam, you've got, you know, all those issues, very contemporary issues, and you've got immigration to Europe. This feeling that, you know, in spite of this beautiful country, Cameroon, so many people still want to go to Europe. There's so much going on in there. I can imagine that your head is buzzing all the time. You've got so much to tell us, I think, in your writing.
This is just the consequence of a passion, of the passion of Roger. He wants to be a football champion, and therefore he starts thinking about how to realize his dream. And then we have migration. So for me, the way we talk about migration today between African and European continent, it seems to be, it's like we are all talking about the same thing. No, actually, the migration I'm talking about is inside Cameroon. It's inside Cameroon. It's like a long way from Douala. We start from Douala and slowly, slowly we go to the north of the country where we have a problem with Boko Haram and let's say the Islamic sects that kill a lot of people in Cameroon.
Do you combine in your writing, you know, your African background, your Swiss life, and all these issues like homosexuality and, you know, being a man, really important things about your masculinity, immigration, an amazing amount you put in your writing. Do you feel it's your duty to do these, or are these just issues that, you know, you feel very strongly about yourself and always want to write about?
I think I'm just a writer and a storyteller, and a writer is supposed to be a witness of his world. So I cannot write out of what is happening around me. I mean, one of my dreams is like, if somebody reads me in one century, that the person could understand what was the life of a young Black homosexual writer coming from Cameroon and living, and who had lived in Switzerland during this time. For me, it's really important. If as artists, we cannot leave this kind of documents that will testify an era, then I think we can do something else. So for me, it's really important not to lie, but to take all this, to put them together. My background as an African guy and my fight for the coming out in a Black African family, living as a Black writer in a milieu that is most of all white. Sometimes I even have, that's why I was saying at the beginning that I prefer not to talk about being white or Black, but because I have a lot of situations where I found myself like, you're the only Black among a crowd of white old people, and you don't know exactly what to do. So for me, it's exactly what you have said, to put all that together and to testify what I've been going through since the beginning. And I will finish just with this. That's why maybe with this pandemic we're going through, I couldn't have the possibility to write the prose anymore, like sentences to make a novel. I started just writing like ideas, concepts, flashes, and oh my God, I didn't know I had poetry in me, poems. And this last month, I've been just writing poems. Just
so you're a poet as well now. You're a novelist, a short story writer, poet. I'm going to have to start calling you the magical Max Lobe. Thank you so much for your magic, Max. It's just wonderful to talk to you and see you, in person in the UK as soon as absolutely.
I hope very soon, really. I hope very soon, because I cannot make it to stay at home. I mean, in Switzerland the whole year like this. I will be traveling abroad this weekend, going to Zurich. But
well, Max, now that you've been translated into English, you belong to us as well. So
oh, okay.
Thank you, Max Lobe, very much indeed. Thank you.